Two innocent lives taken by a drunk driver. Tonight, after more than 2 years, justice is served. Senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens was in the courtroom as the Roxanne Palacios case came to an end. Plus, Taft's chief of police in hot water for the fourth time this year, following some controversial comments. Neighborhood news reporter Adam Beam explains why tonight's city council meeting could get ugly. Chris 6 News starts now. On November 2nd, 2022, a wrong-way driver caused a deadly accident on the Harbor Bridge, and this morning that driver, Roxanne Palacios, was in court for a hearing that brought this case to an end. Our senior neighborhood news reporter, Suzanne Stevens, was also in the courtroom for that hearing. She joins us now live in the studio. I would imagine it was pretty emotional in the courtroom.
A lot of emotion, Andy. That wrong-way crash on the Harbor Bridge left 2 people dead, another seriously injured, and families shattered on all sides. Today, the driver at the center of it all stood before a judge and accepted a plea deal. Outside the courtroom in Nueces County, tears, tension, and heartbreak. Inside, Roxanne Palacios stood in shackles and admitted guilt. It's been more than 2 years since the crash that killed Betsy Mandujano and Matthew Banda and seriously injured Janelle Donahoe. Palacios was drunk behind the wheel with a blood alcohol level of nearly 3 times the legal limit when she drove the wrong way onto the Harbor Bridge. She was sentenced to 7 years on each count to be served at the same time with credit for time already served.
Our hearts go out to both families, all 3 families on the victim side, and the family of the defendant. She has young children too, and she's already been away from for a long time.
Palacios may not serve the full sentence, but she still faces civil lawsuits filed by the families of the 2 victims and the 1 survivor. Andy, back to you.
All right, thanks for that story, Suzanne. Also, where are we here now? The Nueces County District Attorney had a lot more to say about the Roxanne Palacios case in an exclusive interview with Suzanne Stevens. To view that entire interview, scan the QR code on your screen with your smartphone or just go to your Chris 6 YouTube page. Well, the deadly wrong-way accident caused by Roxanne Palacios prompted our 6 Investigates team to launch our Facing Danger series of reports. That investigative series looked into wrong-way drivers on the Harbor Bridge. It launched on February 16th of 2023. Our investigation led to the discovery of 11 crashes, 8 deaths, 11 injuries on Highway 181 over a period of 7 years. In March of 2023, we called Governor Greg Abbott's attention to our findings. He called the situation extraordinarily dangerous and unacceptable. The governor also criticized TxDOT's initial safety efforts, calling them inadequate. Shortly after we spoke with the governor, TxDOT finalized a plan to permanently close the Power Street and Padre Street exits on the Harbor Bridge. And that same month, a wrong-way task force was established, and the DPS stationed troopers at the only remaining exit off the Harbor Bridge. Then in May of 2023, the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission met with local bar owners to discuss what they should be looking for to make sure they don't overserve customers. All right, well, let's check in with meteorologist Diamond Dixon, because we've got the same conditions that we've had a year ago, not a year ago, but a month ago, that caused problems. What's it looking like for the weekend?
Yeah, that's right, Andy. Well, we have a heat up on the way. This weekend, we get pretty warm, as you can imagine, in the 80s, of course, and into early next week, we're going to see some warmer temperatures. I'll show you here how we're looking into our current conditions in Corpus Christi here. Well, we're at 84 degrees. Now we have that southeast wind coming in at 12 miles per hour. Had a little bit of a north wind earlier today, then east, and now southeast. So we're going to get a little bit windy between now and 7 p.m. And here's a good look at our temperatures right now across the coastal bend. You can see we're still in the 70s along the coast. As we get a little bit inland, we're in the 80s and then 90s, way more inland to our west neighborhood. So right now, we're, of course, in our warmest part of the day. After into this part, we're going to cool off a bit headed into the evening, and I'll have your full forecast coming up with everything you need to know for this weekend.
Tonight, the employment of Taft Police Chief John Landreth is on the agenda for the fourth time in less than a year and less than a month after they attempted to terminate him. I'm your neighborhood news reporter Adam Beam with what we know so far about the investigation at the center of this latest effort.
Friday night, the City Council is set to discuss an internal investigation into an alleged threat made by Landreth in executive session. According to documents obtained by 6 Investigates, 3 council members, as well as the city secretary and city manager Ryan Smith, allege while discussing a grievance Landreth had with the city employees, he made the comment, "I have a rope in my truck, let's go find a tree." The investigation was conducted by City Attorney Thomas Gauds, one of the individuals Landreth's grievance was with. However, Mayor Pro Tem Melita Castillo is saying that what occurred behind closed doors is not being portrayed accurately. While acknowledging Landreth's comments to be inappropriate, says that it was a comment directed at himself and how he felt treated. Following the council's last attempt to fire Landreth in March, he expressed his frustration with 6 Investigates.
Tonight I feel like they've come at me a few different ways. They won't ever tell you what they want. They just tell you what you're doing is not good enough.
It is unclear at this time what action, if any, will be taken against Landreth. However, 6 Investigates will be at the meeting beginning at 6:30 p.m. and we will have all the details for you tonight at 10. But for now, I'm your neighborhood news reporter Adam Beam for 6 Investigates.
Benavides ISD multi-million-dollar bond is on the May election ballot. I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Benavides. I'll give you the details and explain how the district will use the funds.
Well, a total of $400,000 has been collected to support recovery efforts for those folks affected by the Sinton fires. That money was raised through United Way of the Coastal Bend. Steel Dynamics pledged to match every donation dollar for dollar. Our neighborhood news reporter Victoria Balderrama first told us about this partnership in March. They plan to accept donations until March 21st, but extended the deadline so more neighbors could help. Victoria was invited out to the final check presentation where she spoke with representatives.
We felt we had to step up for Sinton, so we hope it helps. We won't be giving the money away day to day. That will be the job of the United Way.
So there's a committee in Sinton that's going to provide feedback to the United Way of the Coastal Bend, and with that information on the fire victims, they'll distribute the money that was donated. All right, neighbors in Rockport also in need of help after being hit by a wildfire this week. That's why the S.R. Boyle House will host a crawfish fundraiser this coming Sunday. Admission free, but you're asked to bring donations of cash or clothes or toiletries, whatever you can. It's a BYOB event, so bring your own boil for the crawfish, of course. The folks at S.R. Boyle will be joined by crawfish boil teams from across the area.
It hit very close to home, being that it was just right down the street from us. We saw it go down. We watched it happen the last 2 days. A lot of our customers, employees, families were affected by it, so we just want to do our part as a community.
Everything that's collected will go to the victims of the Rockport fires. Here are details of the fundraiser. Bring your donations Sunday, April 13th from noon until they run out of crawfish. Fundraiser will be at 160 Cove Harbor North at the dock at marker 12. Well, while communities recover from fire damage, you still need to be alert of extreme fire danger. Our dry, windy conditions are a hotbed for brush fires, as you can see. Remember to be cautious with anything that could trigger an inferno. The Sinton fires were partially started with just a cigarette butt. Friction between metals can also cause sparks like in lawnmowers or cars. Sunday's fire danger will be very high with Linden neighborhoods facing the most risk.
I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Benavides. A multi-million-dollar bond is on the May election ballot for the school district here. I sat with the superintendent to learn how the district would use the funding.
I met Ricardo Gonzalez at the town's post office. He's lived in Duval County all his life. When he heard about Benavides ISD's $10 million bond, he says,
I think it would be a good deal if it's going to benefit the kids. And I guess they'll have a better facilities and such things.
It would go towards improvements of its secondary campus. It comes as the district consolidates 2 of its campuses next school year.
These rural students deserve a fantastic school system. This is not a frills type of its necessities.
Superintendent Dr. Samuel Bueno tells me that's because there's been a drop in enrollment over the years. Right now, they have about 135 students. According to the TEA, last school year, they had 445. Most of its funding in the proposed bond would be used on things like upgrades to plumbing. But there's a catch. Bueno says depending on what property residents own, there could be a tax increase for voters. Parents like Selena Palacios thinks it's a great idea.
I think that the bond is going to be good for our kids. I mean, we have so few kids here that, combining campuses is not ideal in a lot of people's eyes, but I think that it'll help, cost efficiency.
Other neighbors who did not want to go on camera tell me they're opposed of this because there's not a lot of people living here that would pay those taxes.
Early voting starts on April 22nd and Election Day is May 3rd. For more information on the bond, visit our website at christv.com. Covering your neighborhood news in Benavides, I'm Melissa Trevino, Chris 6 News.
Well, it's time to get a look at some traffic this evening at 5:13. Seeming to be pretty smooth along SPID. Lots of cars out at this hour, but we'll take a look at some local roadways to see how we're doing right now. Well, from Portland to the Harbor Bridge, we're looking good. Ocean Drive, there's a minor slowdown. We just saw SPID on Skycam, also looking good if you're headed out that way, but we do have multiple slowdowns along Saratoga there, along South Staples, and as well as north of Weber Road. We take it on over. We have a slowdown along Waldron Road as well as Flower Bluff Drive. The JFK Causeway looking good this evening. I'll have your full forecast coming up after the break.
If you're on the hunt for some fun, don't worry, we've got you covered. I'm Michelle Hoffman in your neighborhood, and with Easter around the corner and spring in full bloom, there's no shortage of some exciting things happening in your neighborhood this Coastal Bend weekend. Let's start cracking and start in the Bay Area.
The Corpus Christi Parks and Recreation Department is hosting its Eggstravaganza Egg Hunt by the Bay. It's this Saturday from noon to 2 p.m. at Water's Edge Park on the Great Lawn. It's going to be exceptional fun for the whole family. Even your furry friends can hop along. There will be over 15,000 colorful eggs to hunt down, along with excellent games, delicious food trucks, and a very special visit from the Easter Bunny. Easter is April 20th, and this event is just one of many ways to celebrate. For a full list of Easter happenings, hop on over to christv.com. Now, if all this talk about bunnies and eggs has you feeling one with nature, don't miss Earth Day Bay Day at Heritage Park. The event is free and runs Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and it's all about promoting environmental awareness in a fun, family-friendly way with hands-on educational activities, nature crafts, community booths, giveaways, and more. As spring blossoms, so do celebrations. The Cherry Blossom Festival at the Texas State Museum of Asian Cultures is the perfect way to branch out this weekend. You can head there on Saturday from noon to 5 p.m. for a full day of vibrant vendors, tasty bites, lively performances, and springtacular interactive booths. Admission is just $6 for adults and $3 for kids ages 4 to 12. Now here's something that's positively heartwarming. AE Fitness is teaming up with the Gulf Coast Humane Society for a pet adoption event this Saturday. It kicks off at 11 a.m. at 7629 South Staple Street, Suite 109A. You can meet adorable pups looking for their forever homes, shop pet supplies, and even grab a bite from local food trucks. Now, if you're craving something savory, head to the island for the Padre Island Barbecue Beach Bash happening today and tomorrow at the Briscoe King Pavilion. More than 40 teams will be competing in a barbecue cook-off that's sure to be brilliant. There will be live music, fun activities, and food sizzling all weekend long. $25 gets you access to both days of the event, Friday from 5 to 10 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. All proceeds benefit American Legion Post 220 2029 and its efforts to supporting local veterans and educational programs.
So really, folks, no bunny has an excuse to be bored this Coastal Bend weekend because there are a lot more events happening in your neighborhood. For a full list, you can visit our website, christv.com. And of course, folks, if you want to see your event featured on a future Coastal Bend weekend segment, you could send us a message. In your neighborhood from the Bay Area, I'm Michelle Hoffman with this week's Coastal Bend Weekend.
All right there, Coastal Bend. Well, we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties with our little weather system here. I will ask my director behind there if we can maybe skip to the next story, and I'll be back to you guys with some full weather just ahead. Coastal Bend, meteorologist Diamond Dixon here. We're just going to play around with some sky cams and talk about weather while we have some technical difficulties. So we have our CCC camera out there with Snoopy's Pier. A beautiful day, a sunny day. We're also going to keep getting warmer temperatures as we head through the weekend into Monday. So Sunday's going to be our warmer day. We're touching the upper 80s there just a bit, and then we're going to continue to warm. If you were able to join for maybe some of our other shows, you may have remembered me talking about that fire danger weather forecast that we're taking a look at that's going to gradually get just a little bit worse as we head into Sunday. For Corpus Christi, we'll be in a high range, but very high for more of our inland neighborhoods near Cotulla, because our western neighborhoods are going to heat up quicker than, of course, our more coastal communities. So temperature-wise, we'll be sitting into the mid to upper 80s as well. So we're going to continue that pattern through the weekend. That's going to lead to that forecast fire danger. We still have gusty winds that will come back into the forecast that are going to linger around, those winds coming out of the southeast for the most part. And after that, we have our gusty winds, warmer temperatures, and there's also little to no rainfall happening also in the next week coming up. Even in the next 6 to 10 days, we're dealing with these drier weather conditions that will be sticking around. Now, as far as winds, we also had a little bit of a north wind earlier. That was a cold front that tried to touch us on South Texas here, but it retreated north. Now we have our east and southeast winds back, but they're going to be just a little gusty through 7 p.m. tonight. Now, if we look ahead just a little bit into our Saturday morning, well, that's when winds are going to be a little bit lighter, allowing some patchy fog to stick around through our Saturday morning before we start to heat up, and it's going to evaporate that fog, and we'll have mostly sunny conditions into our Saturday morning. Now, through the weekend, we still have sunny conditions that are going to stick around, as well as into next week with windy conditions as well. So that's pretty much the gist of how we look for the next week. Is sunny and windy. Temperatures will be near normal for the beginning half, and then we get to above normal temperatures. That's also the same true fact for our rest of next week. Windy, little bit of gustiness, and temperatures into the upper 80s. We're really keeping an eye on Sunday and Monday right now for that forecast fire danger once again, because we have all of the ingredients in place for that forecast fire danger. Once again, that's gusty winds, that's temperatures that are above normal, and that's going to be that warm weather, gusty winds, and drier conditions, although we could use some good old rain here in southeast Texas. That's just not in the forecast for us, at least in the next 6 to 10 days, so we will be a little bit likely drier. So, of course, you want to stay tuned to the forecast for the rest of the night and into the weekend. We'll keep you updated on those conditions, and thanks for sticking with us through these technical difficulties. We'll hand it on over back to some news.
Diamond Dixon rolling with the punches. Well, there's a massive garage sale happening on Padre Island this week, but when the dust settles, what happens to all that leftover stuff? Goodwill is partnering with Padre Island neighbors to make sure nothing is wasted. Neighborhood News reporter Aaron Holly wanted to find out what this new partnership is all about.
And I thought, how have we not known about this before now? And so we reached out to Alex and everyone kind of organizing and said, what can we do to help? We know there's going to be items left over, and we want to make sure to make it as easy and seamless as possible for the community to help upcycle or recycle the items that they may not sell.
Well, the 75 block, did you hear that? 75 block garage sale starts tomorrow at 8 in the morning. For a full list of the streets, all you have to do is visit our website, christb.com. Diamond Dixon with us one more time. Coming through in the clutch.
Oh, yeah.
And really what you were saying is these conditions, these dry, windy conditions are going to continue, which means
fire danger weather.
That's right.
Yeah, that we're keeping an eye out on at least all weekend. Sunday seems to be our worst day that we're keeping an eye out on, especially for our more inland and western communities that will warm up really quick and get hot. So we're going to keep an eye on that.
keep an eye on that.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
be careful what you're doing out there so that we don't have any more problems with the fires. Okay, we're done at 5. We'll see you again at 6.
See ya.